Bam. You ever have those days that just seem harder than they're meant to? Just seemingly for no reason. I'm having one of those. I've been dealing with, paperwork, kids about to start school back up. We got, student loans coming out of forbearance. I think everyone's dealing with that. It's an absolute fucking nightmare. Got to pick up the kids from camp in a little bit. They got activities in town tonight. So, I got a plan for birthdays. There's a bunch of stuff going on. And I just, there's nothing distinctly awful happening right now. But man, sometimes life just gets you down. And then on top of that, you have to cook dinner. So, I have not been to the supermarket in the last few days, or at least not with a plan in mind. So the larder is a little bare, but you still got to make dinner. And I don't, with driving the kids around, getting home late, sometimes it's nicer rather than trying to make something real quick in a rush as soon as you get home to make something ahead of time that you can have more or less ready when you get home. But that requires having food in the house to make it. This coincides right now. Collides, let's say, with a request a friend of mine had, or a suggestion recently, to make a video where I just ransacked my kitchen for the ingredients I had and made something of it, which I was like, oh yeah, I should do that soon. And today, right now, is soon, because I need to make dinner and I don't have a whole lot. So I've decided to I went and looked, I have a bunch of potatoes sitting around that are starting to, get a little sprouty. I need to do something with, made mashed potatoes recently, but I went to Costco for the potatoes, so I had way too many. I have a bunch of lemons, same reason, Costco. I almost always have some sort of beans in the pantry. Today it's chickpeas, almost always. I made a huge thing of hummus recently. I like having chickpeas around because I make hummus so often. So I had chickpeas. I've got half an onion left over from dinner last night, 3 tomatoes, a bunch of garlic, again, Costco garlic, and I used some of that a little while ago to make roasted garlic, so I've got 1 head of roasted garlic left. And I decided what I'm going to make is a sort of whole meal variation on those lemony olive oil potatoes you get at Greek restaurants sometimes. Sort of, I'd call them Greek potatoes. Sometimes you get them if you're getting, as a side when you're getting a gyros or some falafel or something. I definitely had them a few times when I was in Greece, but that was 22 years ago now. So I don't know, maybe I'm making it up. But the basic idea of Greek potatoes that you might make as a side for falafel, I do, is potatoes cut up into, decent sized chunks and cooked in a pan with a lot of lemon juice, a lot of olive oil, and maybe some broth or salty water at the very least. And then you just bake that for a while. And the potatoes absorb a lot of that lemon juice, saltiness, sort of end up in a bit of a slightly thicker, almost kind of lemony olive oil gravy sauce. They're fantastic. But it's very much a side dish because it's pretty much just potatoes, and humankind cannot live on the potato alone. So I decided to see if I could make that into a whole meal. Spur of the moment, I came up with this idea about 5 minutes ago. I'm going to whack some chickpeas in the Instant Pot. Enough for a meal, probably a cup or two of chickpeas. Enough water to cover. Already got some water in there. I cheated. And we'll let those cook for an hour. So, 1 bit of dinner already sorted. I'm going to take my taters, oh these dogs, man, and cut them up into, decent sized chunks. Nothing fancy. We're going rustic, right? You got a little eye on there starting to look at you. Cut that guy off. What do we got? Decent sized chunks. I'm going with that. I reckon that's a good enough chunk. We don't have to get fancy with it. Potatoes in. I don't know if anyone who watches these videos has also been watching my juggling shorts, but I practiced some juggling today and reflected on why it's such a perfect metaphor for life. It feels almost a little too cruel sometimes that the activity I chose to distract myself from life itself is juggling. Because, you know, literally as I was doing it, I was like, yeah, you know, you just got to keep working at it, chipping away. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just have to do a little bit of it every day. Just have to focus on getting better. When the ball, you know, you drop the balls, you pick them back up again. That sort of thing, you know, find some fun, make work fun, all that sort of stuff. And the whole time I was juggling, I was like, fuck, I thought I was meant to be enjoying this. And instead it was just this like painfully on the nose metaphor for existence itself. Grace, you know you have your own door. You do. Do you want to use your door? Do you want to be on camera? Oh, I mean, don't tell me that's not a sexy dog. Look at that. Oh, you good looking dog. You good looking dog. You're just a little puppy. She's just a little puppy. She's just a little puppy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Go use your door. Go on. No, I'm not going to pick you up again. Go use your door. If you go back to that same door, I don't know, man. It's a good thing they're cute. Oh, look at that. Clean hands. Juggling, metaphor, dogs. I lost track. Anywho, look at that. Clean your potatoes up. Potatoes don't have to be perfect. Juggling doesn't have to be perfect. Dogs don't have to be perfect. Grace, use your door, love. Use your door. Go on. Go to your door. Yeah. Go bark at something. They're doing a crummy job of keeping the deer away from my plants. I went out this morning. My tomato plant out there got topped. The roses got topped. I don't know what the dogs are doing. They're meant to be out there at night garden stuff. Sleeping. Anyhow, so yeah, you know, making up a recipe. The reason I think this is going to work, having never made it previously, is that it's going to combine at a very primal level the essence of what makes food taste good, right? Which is fat, salt, acid. Is that right? Something like that, right? Like that combination. You want some combination of like fattiness for the mouthfeel. You want some saltiness, some flavor whacked in there. And then something to, I think, kind of cut through that at some level, right? And then it's just, how do you do that with what you got on hand? So what I had on hand, like I said, these potatoes, some onion. Now I'm planning on baking this in the oven for quite a while. The chickpeas will already be cooked. They'll absorb a lot of the flavor. But then the potato and onion, I'm not even bothering to pre-cook either of them. I'm just whacking them in. I've gone back and forth on whether to slice my tomatoes thin and put them over the top as a sort of roof and let them cook over it, which sounds pretty nice. I think I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take, just because I've got it here, this head of garlic, which is my roasted garlic from about a week ago. Roasted garlic is one of those things that you just got to get on. It's super easy to do. I use like a small sort of 4 or 6 inch cake pan and do about 4 heads of garlic at a time. I don't have time for this. We're just going to mush it out. There we go. You know, you take a head of garlic, and if you were doing this one, you know, you cut the top off it, get that out of here, and then just sort of trim up the sides to expose the tops bloop, of the garlic. Put that in a pan, sprinkle it with salt, cover it with a good amount of olive oil. I like to use a lot of olive oil because the olive oil that's left over is really tasty. And then, so, you put that in a little dish. You can use a ramekin you can bake in if you're just doing one big ramekin, a few of them. I use a metal cake pan. Put about 4 heads of garlic in there just so you got some left over. Sprinkle it with salt, cover it with olive oil, and then wrap that pan, cover it in foil. Put it in the oven at about 375 for, it usually takes about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And your garlic will be, the garlic will be browned a little bit, softened quite a lot. And the garlic itself has a fantastic flavor. A lot of the salt and olive oil will be left over in the bottom of the pan. And you can use that to add into stuff. If I used it all up making mac and cheese recently. But, you could pour some of that oil into this. You could make, if you're making salad dressing, making soup, just that really, oh yeah, that's good stuff. Just that really tasty kind of roasted garlic, salty, zing flavor. Hard to beat. But for what we're doing now, I'm using a combination of the roasted garlic because I got it, need to use it for something. And I got a couple of pieces of this raw garlic. And like I said, get out of here, fly. Like I said, we're going to cook it for a while, so everything in here is going to cook down. Fly, I don't need you around. What do we say? Shoo fly. We say shoo fly. Get after it. Get after it. Where are you? Yeah. Scared him off. Sounds like the baby's waking up, so we'll wrap this up. So I'm going to go these tomatoes. I'll do some sort of thickish slices because we're going to let it cook for a while. And I don't want my tomatoes to be dried out, you know what I mean? You want them to like cook down and soften. And I'm just going to arrange, well, I need my chickpeas in there. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. So I'm going to slice my tomatoes up, and through the magic of movie editing, I will show you that once my chickpeas are cooked, I'm going to mix them in, dump them on top with the potatoes and onion here. I'm going to squeeze probably about 3 or 4 lemons worth of lemon juice over this. Then I'm going to top it with these slices of tomato. Pour a healthy amount of olive oil over that. Pour a little bit of, a couple of sprinkles of salt, I think, over there. And pour a little bit of water. I don't have any broth sitting around right now. Pour a little bit of water so the pan's kind of full up. And then, because my day has to continue, I'm going to leave that until later today and then bake it. But you could also, as soon as you're done, I would say top that with some foil and put it in your oven to bake at, let's say, 400 for about an hour, I reckon. And then pull the foil off. If you want those tomatoes to cook down a little bit and give you that real rich cooked tomato flavor, then let those tomatoes cook, let everything cook uncovered for if you've got the time, maybe half an hour. I guess it depends how much time you have in your day. Now, to be fair, most of this time you're not actually actively cooking. You're just sitting around, standing about, learning to juggle, trying to teach your dogs new tricks. But I say maybe an hour and a half cooking time. Most of it covered, some of it uncovered. Let some of that liquid cook off. I might even get wild and just experiment and try the whole thing uncovered. Who knows? Let it cook off for a while so the liquid cooks down, absorbs into the veggies that are in there, absorbs into the chickpeas, let the tomatoes reduce down. And at the end of that, you're going to have a big rustic dish of cooked tomatoes, cooked onions, chickpeas mixed in for protein, added oomph. You got garlic, roasted garlic, healthy amount of cracked pepper.
I think everyone at this table could use a lot of fresh pepper.
Tomatoes on top for a little extra zing. And then I'm probably going to serve that with a side salad because the only thing green I have in the fridge right now is some romaine lettuce. If the garden's provided, I might chop up a little parsley, sprinkle that on top, make it look pretty, call it a meal.